What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome back to the Upside Down Life, or welcome to the Upside Down Life if this is your first time. In this video, I want to talk about just being honest with the Lord. And the reason this video came up is that in a lot of my videos recently, I've kind of felt like I've talked about a lot of ways that people have approached the Lord, and it may have come off like I'm trying to set a pattern or how to approach the Lord, and that's not what I want to do at all. So in my life, I found that honesty is the best way for myself, not to get the Lord to react, but to release what it is that I'm holding on to the Lord. And the fact is, sometimes it takes time to actually realize what it is that I am feeling. For example, I don't necessarily feel like anger is a base reaction to things. I feel like anger is kind of a secondary reaction. For me, a lot of time it's confusion. A friend of mine, I were talking the other day about how when bitterness surfaces, a lot of the time it surfaces as sadness. It's a ploy to get people to come to our side and actually kind of feed the bitterness that's below it. And that's something that the Lord has taught me about being honest, is realistically sitting in it and letting it be there until the reality of what it truly is comes about. But when it comes to approaching the Lord, I found that just being completely honest with the Lord is the best policy, the best way, the best pattern, whatever it might be, as far as approaching the Lord. And by that I mean being brutally honest, whether your heart is overjoyed because you've just been blessed with something that you've been yearning for, or you're just crushed because you have no idea what's going on in your life. It seems like everything's falling apart, or anywhere in between there. I just believe that going to him and being honest is the best policy. So just sharing some of my walk with you. When I really was coming back to the Lord, sorry, there's a huge shadow over there, some bird flying that I can't see, sorry. There was a time when the level of maturity that I had in addressing the Lord was very much at a baby stage, which I believe is where we all start at. And by that I mean, like, babies don't come out and they're not polite. They don't say, hey, excuse me, can you wake up and change my diaper, or I need something to eat. They just cry. And that's how my walk started with the Lord. I would just cry out and just kind of just pour everything out and be really overwhelmed with the things going on in my life. And I'm not saying I'm at a perfect place now, but I'm definitely at a much more mature place where things will come at me and hit me, and I will more just turn to the Lord and say, Lord, you have to deal with this. I'm not going to play with it and become overwhelmed with it. In fact, I'm going to let you deal with it, because I'm just going to be honest with you. This hurt when this happened. I was really excited when this happened, or I was kind of bummed about this, or whatever the case may be. Just being honest with him. Now switching this more to the biblical side of it, I want to use the scripture in John 12:27, and it's actually Christ talking. And so this is what it says. Now my soul is troubled, and what shall I say? Father, save me from this hour, but for this purpose I came to this hour. Father, glorify your name. And I'm not acting like I'm there by any means, but there are certain things that happen when the Lord has blessed me with the patience to sit there and say, you know what are you trying to teach me? What are you trying to do through this? And it's that last part that I believe, the honesty along with the willingness to accept that God being glorified may not glorify Evan. Or as I heard when I was blessed enough to hear Reinhard Bonnke speak one time, he said, dignity is not one of the fruits of the Spirit. So yeah, just go with that. And so that's where we're striving for, is like Christ. This is right before the Garden of Gethsemane and the crucifixion, and Christ is saying, will I ask that the Father take this from me? No, my purpose for being here is found in this moment, so I have to walk through it. So Lord, let you be glorified. Let's look at how his Father responds. Then it says, then a voice came from heaven saying, I have both glorified it and will glorify it again. And that's why we have to honor like God's name being glorified above everything else, because if not, like, you'll find a lot of offense in what the Lord just said. because the Lord doesn't address Christ saying my soul is bothered. He says, like, okay, bet my name will be glorified. It has been and it will be. It's why we put ourselves second and put his will and his kingdom growing first. When you believe and you want his name to be glorified, him saying that will make the cross bearable. That's what will happen. Whatever the cross is in your life, it will be bearable because you'll understand that his name has been glorified and will continue to be glorified. So that's what I got for you in this video. So I would love for you to be honest with the Lord today. Be honest in a joyful moment and be honest in a sad moment. It can be missing a light on the way home when you really just wanted to make all the lights and get home. Seriously, be honest with the Lord about it, because he actually wants to hear that from you. Yes, he's taking care of everything like this wind blowing and all these other things, but he's actually really interested in what you are up to. So, I love you all. See you next time. Peace.